Welcome to the Growth Spurt, a weekly growth spurt by the Second Baptist Church of Ann Arbor. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into a really powerful sermon by Dr. Stephen J. Daniels, Sr. It's titled Still Preserving the Stones. Our mission really is to unpack its core themes, delve into the biblical context, and, pull out those profound insights. Insights relevant not just for the church community, but I think for anyone thinking about legacy, community, and maybe looking ahead.
Absolutely. It's quite a unique opportunity, actually. We're looking at a sermon not just through a, let's say, purely religious lens, but as a source for understanding how any group really builds and keeps its identity. We'll explore that sort of strategic thinking needed to make sure what we do now actually echoes for generations, to study in purposeful action, you could say, enduring action.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The setting for the sermon is significant, the upcoming 160th anniversary of the Second Baptist Church of Ann Arbor in 2025. What's the importance of that milestone for this message?
Well, what's really compelling here is that this sermon isn't brand new in concept. Dr. Daniels actually gave a version of this address 10 years ago, back in June 2015.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that was for the sesquicentennial 150th anniversary when he was relatively new as pastor there. So revisiting the same theme after a whole decade of leading the church, it gives us amazing perspective on continuity, on growth, and what really lasts.
That continuity definitely adds weight. Okay, so the sermon itself, it really centers on Joshua chapter 4, right? Specifically verses 6 and 7, but also pulling from nearby verses. Could you maybe set the scene for us from that passage?
Sure. It's quite a dramatic moment in the text. God has just miraculously stopped the Jordan River. It's flooding at the time, so the Israelites can cross on dry land.
Wow.
And right after that, Joshua tells 12 men, one from each tribe, to go into the middle of the riverbed and get these large stones. We're not talking pebbles here. These are substantial stones, ones they had to carry on their shoulders.
Right. And why? Why these big, heavy stones? What was the point of that effort?
The purpose, as the sermon draws out from Joshua 4, was very clear. Build a memorial, a lasting one. These stones were meant to be a tangible, sort of undeniable reminder for the future.
For kids.
Exactly. The text says, when your children ask later, what do these stones mean? The parents can tell the story. Point to the stones and recount this incredible event, God stopping the Jordan, just like he did the Red Sea earlier. And Dr. Daniels masterfully connects this ancient act of remembering to the Second Baptist Church's own story. Starting with just 13 people way back in 1865, the sermon frames its 160 years as a testament to, quote, God's grace and mercy, showing the transformative power when people come together. All those decades of worship, effort, faith, it's all part of that legacy.
That's a really powerful parallel. So this ancient story, these memorial stones,
Yeah.
how does Dr. Daniels connect that to the call to be still preserving the stones today?
Well, his first key point is that memorials like this, they provoke questions. They're designed to make people ask, what's this about? The stones weren't just for the folks who saw the river stop. Critically, they were for the generations after, who needed to know about these amazing acts.
And this is where he makes that really insightful point that history and legacy do not have the ability to tell their own story. Somebody has to preserve the story. Joshua knew he wouldn't be around forever to tell it, but the stones would be. It's about actively, curating that memory.
Exactly. And that leads straight into a pretty direct challenge in the sermon. He asks basically, okay, that was then, but what are we doing right now in 2025 to prepare to communicate God's goodness in, say, 2125?
100 years from now. Wow.
It's a call for foresight, isn't it?
Yeah.
To actively lay new stones through planning, through vision, making sure that what we build today, the values, the achievements, aren't just lost to time.
It really forces you, the listener, to think about your own impact. What story will millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha tell their grandkids about the things we're building now? Will our institutions, our churches, our communities still stand as living testaments or just fade away?
The Jordan stones, in this interpretation, they spoke to people the Israelites would never even meet. The message was about something extraordinary, the impact of collective faith and, as the sermon terms it, divine intervention. It's a message that says, if God did it for us, then God can do it for you.
Okay, so that's the communication aspect. Then Dr. Daniels moves to a second point. The memorial commemorates God's grace. He defines grace as unearned and undeserved favor.
Right. And this idea, it connects to personal stories, too. The sermon suggests that every testimony, every story of overcoming challenges is, quote, dripped in the grace of God, meaning there are elements of unexpected help, maybe undeserved breaks, the Jordan River stopping mid-flood, That's presented as a prime example of this kind of dramatic, unearned favor.
He uses an analogy too, right, about
Yeah.
gravestones.
Yes, exactly. Just like we engrave names and dates on gravestones to honor someone's memory, these stones commemorate divine actions, these moments of grace. And then he throws down this challenge quite powerfully. Live your life in such a way that whoever draws the assignment to talk about you will not have to lie in the process. It's about living with integrity, leaving an authentic legacy.
That's a really striking thought about authenticity, but there's another detail about Joshua's actions you mentioned earlier, something even more intriguing. He put another set of 12 stones somewhere else.
Yes, this is fascinating. He laid another 12 stones right in the middle of the Jordan River, where the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant had stood. And the scripture says, remarkably, they are there to this day,
In the middle of the river.
in the middle of the river. The sermon interprets this as Joshua showing incredible foresight, making sure there was an undeniable sign, even for skeptics generations later. It's like Joshua wanted to ensure that the story of God's power and grace wasn't just told, but could be, in a way, seen or at least pointed to. These stones in the riverbed, clearly out of place, would just demand explanation. It really emphasizes making the legacy visible, undeniable.
Okay, so we've got communication, commemoration. What's the third point Dr. Daniels makes? He draws from later in Joshua 4, verses 23-24, right?
Yes, the third point is that the memorial celebrates God's glory, God's power. The passage says God did these miracles so all the nations of the earth might know that the Lord's hand is powerful, and so you might fear the Lord your God forever.
So it's about a wider impact.
Exactly. It's about enduring influence. And here, the sermon connects the Second Baptist Church's own 160-year history directly to this. Surviving, thriving even, through immense challenges, the Civil War aftermath, Jim Crow, segregation, economic downturns, even COVID-19. The sermon presents this longevity, this crossing over raging waters, as a testament to God's enduring power and glory.
It's quite a statement about resilience, isn't it? Especially when you think about all the challenges over 160 years. The sermon then calls people to, what was it, make a new covenant to make new stones.
Yes, make new stones so that future generations will know that the same source of strength that helped them endure has kept us, that God has blessed us, and that God will continue to see us through. It's about demonstrating continuity.
Which links to that song he mentioned, Psalm 105.
Right, Psalm 105, which says, His faithfulness continues through all generations. The implication is clear. The same God, the same source of strength that worked miracles for their ancestors, is still active, still faithful today. It poses the question, has God run out of miracles? Has God run out of deliverance?
And the answer, clearly presented, is no.
A resounding no. The power, the grace, it's not depicted as something just historical. It's current. It's available.
So bringing it all together, Dr. Daniels leaves the listener with a very personal question, doesn't he? Something like, what memorial are you building? What testimony are you sharing?
Precisely. And it emphasizes that this isn't just for a select few. The sermon stresses that God is, quote, no respecter of persons, meaning what God did for others, the strength, the grace, the ability to overcome, that's available to you, to anyone.
So the call is personal.
Deeply personal. We're all called to build our own memorials through how we live, our integrity, the stories we pass on, so that the message, the testimony that our God is an awesome God, keeps getting passed down, known by those who come after us. We are all stone preservers in a way.
What a profound way to think about legacy, foresight, and the lasting power of community and faith. It really isn't just about looking back, is it? It's about actively building the future with our actions right now, creating that impact. We really hope this encourages you, the listener, to reflect on the legacy you're building, the new stones you're laying down in your own life, your family, your community.
Yeah, and remember those themes from the sermon: enduring strength, grace that presented as continuous, flowing through all generations. Your story, your testimony, it matters. It's another stone in that ongoing memorial.
Go in peace, be blessed, and may the joy of Jesus be yours. We'll see you next week.